Desiree? Oh, never mind. I'll wait.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry I'm late. I had trouble getting on for some reason. I think it's the city's Zoom workplace thing, but I have to backdoor in. So, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just
Yes.
see.
Terry,
Yes.
this is Gene Goldstein. I'm sorry to interrupt you, and I'm not trying to mess up your timing or agenda here. Um, I am further down the agenda for the 135 West Council project, so I'm thinking I may not get heard till around 1:30ish. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure. But something has come up personal wise. I've got to pick up my grandson from school in literally 25 minutes. It was a last minute. So if you don't feel I can get my part done, and I'm in no way wanting to rush my
Hi,
presentation.
everyone.
Hi.
I don't want to rush my presentation. If my case needs to get continued to your next hearing, which I believe is in maybe
I'm
2
not hearing anything. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but I can hear. Can other people hear?
Okay, my audio is probably messed.
Did you?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you heard me,
Gene,
Gary.
yeah, Gene, which case is yours?
My case is the 135 West Council, which I believe I'm down the agenda. And
Well,
I'm
you're second on the agenda, so let's do this. Go and get your grandson, then come back and join. We can
I can't.
go.
He's going to be in my car. He's going to be screaming like a little 7-year-old kid, and I don't think that's fair to you guys.
Okay.
My suggestion is, unless I got my case done in the next 15, 20 minutes, which I think is putting a rush on everybody, which I don't want to do, why don't I just continue it to the next hearing, which I believe is in what, 2 weeks?
Desiree, does that work for you? Or should we try to do it first? Can you hear us, Desiree?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I mean, either way is fine. If you want to continue it, that's
I just,
okay.
I just feel uncomfortable racing through this. And I have to say, we're 3/4 through and I say, sorry, folks, I got to jump off. Where does that leave us? It's just, I don't want,
Well, we may be able to do it if you just, let's see what we can do,
okay.
because we just have, yeah, let's just do that
I
so we're
just
not.
wanted to, I just wanted to put it out there out of courtesy.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll, if the group is okay with us doing 4B before 4A, then we move through that one quickly, so it won't delay things too much. Is that okay with the group? But I
Yeah,
need to go.
I
Okay,
would say we do that, and if we can't get through it, then we'll continue it.
yeah,
Okay.
but we'll
Thank you.
try. But
Thank you, folks.
yeah, we have a few other things we have to do. So let me go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the Tucson Pima County Historical Commission Plans Review Subcommittee meeting of Thursday, September 25th, called to order at 1:03 p.m. I'll go ahead and call roll. Terry is here. Savannah?
Sorry, here.
Thank you. Joel?
Yes.
And Andrew?
Here.
Great, we're all here. Item 2 is review and approval of the 8/28/2025 legal action report and / meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay,
Joel
so
has
I've
it.
got Andrew and seconded by Joel. Is there discussion? If not, I'll call roll. Terry votes aye. Joel?
Yes.
Andrew?
Aye.
Savannah?
Aye.
Great, so it passes unanimously 4-0. Thank you. Item 3 is summary of public comments. Desiree, were any received by the posted deadline?
No, I did not receive any comments. Jason, did you receive any public comment?
No, I have not received any.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, item 4 is historic preservation zone review cases. We review these under UDC section 5.8/TSM 9-02.0 Historic District Design Guidelines and revised Secretary of the Interior Standards and Guidelines. We've had a request to take a case out of order. We will hear case 4B first, and that is SD 0525-006-9/TD-DEV-0525-00141 at 135 West Council Street. This is parcel 117101333A. It's a full review. It's in the El Presidio Historic Preservation Zone. It's a non-contributing resource, and they're using the rehabilitation standards. Can we have a staff summary of this? Oh, I'm sorry, it's for a new metal carport. Yeah, it's for a new metal carport. So could we have a staff report on that, please?
Sure thing. Afternoon, Chair Majewski and members of the subcommittee. This is for item 4B at 135 West Cancel Street. The proposed scope of work is a detached, freestanding metal carport with a height lower than the adjacent buildings. Proposes to use steel columns, steel beams, and a metal roof decking. The beams, columns, and fascia will be painted to match the adjacent buildings. It will have a 17-foot, 7-inch setback from Cancel Street. On July 30th, the item was reviewed by the El Presidio Advisory Board. El Presidio approved the submission as presented with one condition, that landscaping be introduced to soften the visual component of the carport. Motion passed unanimously. There are no public comments. The applicant, Gene Golson, is here to present on the proposed carport. This concludes my staff report, and I am available for any questions.
Thank you, Jason. So Go ahead and, let me see, go ahead and start your presentation. Jean, and Jean, are you the owner?
No, I'm the architect.
And what is your firm?
Bramic Design Group, Bramic spelled B-R-A-M-I-C.
Okay. Go ahead. Do you have a presentation to share?
I'll keep it very brief. Basically, I have no objections to the comments that were just made in terms of the scope that my client wants to build here. My client is David Hammeroff, who's been a downtown attorney for many decades. He owns the building adjacent to him, and he just simply wants to get a covered parking structure to protect his vehicle and others and the people that work for him. And we want to keep it simple. You know, we realize that a steel carport structure is maybe not the prettiest thing in the world, but we're, you know, saying we'll paint it to match the building. We then, at the last hearing, we discussed the installation of what would be a steel trellis, basically a screen wall at the north end of the 4-car carport. That would be the full length from the ground all the way up to the eave line of the carport. It would be a steel trellis structure whereby we would then install landscape that can, you know, grow, just basically be a buffer. So as you drive by, you're seeing this rectangular green, you know, landscape element, and you're not seeing through to, you know, multiple cars. And we're not changing anything else on the site. It's tucked away in some ways. And that's pretty much it.
Oh, great. I think, Jason, you said you could bring up the plans so that we can look at them for the record.
Yes, one moment. I have so many windows open.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, Desiree, can you give me control so I can share screen?
Yes, I made you co-host, so it should work. Yeah, maybe try again.
Okay. Should be able to see some in the upper left-hand corner would be parking space plan. Is that what you see on the screen?
Yes, can you make that a little bit larger if possible?
Sure thing. And the site plan will be down below. I'll scroll down a little bit. There we go.
Okay, that would be good to see.
His office building is just to the southwest of where the carport structure, where the shaded portion is shown. His office is directly to the southwest of it, and the entry into their building is from the north end. So there's a existing to remain pedestrian walkway. You'll see it striped there, and where it then ties into an existing sidewalk and right into the building.
And I'll just add, so I put a link in the chat and we can also share, but there was a full development package that was submitted and presented to El Presidio. And this was a revised site plan that we asked for some more detail. But it looks like the rest of the design package didn't make it into this. So apologies for that. But there are additional information. So there's aerials and let's see what else.
And maybe if G can
And
speak
photographs.
to the landscaping with the site plan we're looking at.
Yeah, again, it's repeating what I said previously. If you look at the 4 parking spaces that are shaded, you'll see a little thin rectangle. See where you see the striped pedestrian walkway?
Right here.
Yeah, and you keep going north of that.
Okay.
Right there.
These planters.
We're going to put there's a 5th parking space, but that's not going to be covered. He didn't see a need to do that. Right where your cursor is, that's where a steel trellis will be installed to provide the vertical a vertical steel trellis with landscaping growing vertically on it.
Desiree, would it be possible for him to present the development package, even though it wasn't part of the materials online?
Yes, let me break it up. I have it on my screen. Okay. So, yeah, this is the first
This is not,
page.
this will not show that landscape trellis. I can tell you
Right.
that right now. But yeah, this is our previous submission.
Yeah,
But
so,
we
but
can just point to where it would be since we've seen the other picture.
If you can blow it a little bit, my eyes aren't that great, sorry.
sure.
Well, so this doesn't show the actual carport structure. It just shows what it looks like its existing
Yeah.
condition. But if you look at the, well,
Sorry. You
that's okay.
tell me what you would like me to do. So, I could
Yeah,
stay
just
on
blow,
this.
blow that
Okay.
one up if you don't mind. So if you look at this red square, go to the lower right, go back behind the sidewalk. If you can use your cursor to kind of do that, go to the very go to the northeast corner of this red square. The northeast, come down. There you go. That's the
Oh,
northeast
gotcha.
corner.
Okay.
Then right there's a sidewalk running. You can see the sidewalk in gray. Right behind that, we're going to lose a parking space. That first page, you can see the first space, what has a concrete bumper on. If you blow it up a little bit, they might see it a little better. And that's where we will install the steel trellis with landscaping on it. Yes, right along there.
Okay, do we have a picture of what the,
Yeah, there's a rendering,
We do not,
right?
I have not provided you with a rendering of what that trellis will look like yet.
no, but what about the carport itself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you should have some stuff in there for that. It's just standard, there you go.
And the trellis will basically block the view of that from the street when it's,
That is our hope. And that's what the committee at the last hearing brought up as a suggestion. We said, fine. And we took it fairly verbatim and said, we'll put in a vertical landscape screening to mitigate people driving by and looking straight into a carport.
did El Presidio mention what type of vegetation they'd like to see?
They did not. We were thinking some sort of have you ever been in Riley's? Any of you?
Mhm.
And you see some of the inside there where the beer garden area is. If you walk along, you'll see a very dense, and it's actually artificial to be honest with you, but you'll see a dense collection of landscaping in a vertical install. That's kind of what we're thinking to pull this off.
Plans review members, do any of you have suggestions on that? What vegetation should be used or what type rather than, I mean, I'm not sure this is something that would elevate to going to the Historic Landscape Subcommittee, especially since it's, screening, but is there any way, I mean, anyway, go ahead, Jean, with so paint would match existing steel columns, painted and so on.
Yes, everything would match the building so as not to, make it look any out of place, to help keep it from looking out of place.
Mm-hmm. And Desiree or Jason, the building is non-contributing to the zone?
No, I believe it is contributing, but this carport will be a non-contributing resource. No,
I
it's
see.
correct. It's non-contributing, but there is contributing around it.
Okay. Do we have pictures of the contributors in the development zone?
Scroll to the top of the photos.
Sorry.
So this looks like it's across the street.
Yes.
right? These two, that large parking lot.
That's the building to to the east. The white building you see is to the east. That one, yeah,
Mhm.
right there. That's to the east. The
Mhm.
parking lot is to your right. Then the next photo is that same building to the right. To the left is that white building. Then the building to the right is his office building, Hammeroff Law Firm.
Okay.
Right there. Right there is where the carport structure would go. I mean, it backs up to a back of a building to the east. You can see the back of the building.
Right.
Sorry,
Okay, let me
since
ask
this
Chris
is
questions. Go ahead,
is
Savannah.
that yeah, I mean, which is the color you're matching? Is it
We're
the
matching
tan color?
yes, we're matching the tan color.
Okay,
Exactly.
got it. And that white building, is that a contributor?
I don't know what you mean by contributor.
A contributing structure to the district?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I couldn't tell from the map because it's white on the top and the text is also white. Mostly I was curious. It's okay. Can't find it. My only other question or just, I mean, is there, I think everything you said sounds fine to me. The planting area or the screen, is that represented on a drawing somewhere or would
It's not.
we?
It's not. It's just been verbally and
Verbal, okay, okay.
it's been put in notes.
That's fine. I think we would just want to make sure to include it in our motion, that's all.
Yeah, that's fine.
So that you wouldn't have to
Yep.
go through this hurdle again. I don't
Thank you.
I don't see any issue with it. I would just say, I think there's a 10-foot clearance for a vertical structure to parking space, right? So just make sure it's far enough away from that last
Oh,
parking
yeah.
space
No,
for
we-
people to open their doors.
We-
But I don't know if that there is a height or anything.
Subject to us getting approval from you today, our next step, if I remember correctly, is we resubmit our development package
Okay,
again, and then they will be scrutinizing this, in terms of horizontal clearances. Site engineering will be looking at it, obviously, for the things you're talking about.
okay.
Uh-huh. Savannah, do you feel that we should state anything about the vegetation used on the trellis? Whether it's natural or whether it's fake, like at Riley's or?
I don't know about that. I don't have
I can chime in with
strong
my
opinion.
thoughts.
Yeah, Andrew, go for it.
I don't know if the trellis is actually doing anything for me, if I'm honest. It's a non-contributing building, and I think the trellis stands out more than it screens anything. And I'm kind of street view zooming around the neighborhood, and the like the Presidio context, there's not much front yard landscaping to begin with because most stuff is right up on the street. So I feel like the trellis would feel out of place. I'd be fine with just like a landscaped like buffer area without the trellis feels like a modern kind of like imposition or contemporary imposition to me.
To still have vegetation there, but just not on a trellis.
Yeah, I think like a planting area would be fine. And to me, the trellis is like a little distracting because it's forward of the building. But
And so close to the sidewalk, really there.
yeah,
I mean, the intention is to screen, right? So if there is a plant, a bush, something like that, that provides that
yeah.
intent.
Like even
Um,
like a tree would be like there's precedent for trees kind of out in that area in the neighborhood. That'd be fine.
But do we feel like it needs to be reviewed by landscape subcommittee or not? Just simply say something like vegetation appropriate
I don't
to
think
the
it
neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be because there's really not like front yards in a lot of the Presidio.
Exactly.
So, but I think if the applicant wanted to consult with HLS, like with whatever they decide to pick, I would advise that, but I don't think they have to.
Folks, I'm getting really close on my time here. I don't want to push you or
Well,
squeeze
okay,
you.
well,
or-
let us finish up because I think we can do
I'm-
this.
I can show you a FaceTime. I'm at the school right now picking up my grandson, so I apologize for putting you in
Well,
this situation.
just hold on a second. I think we can finish. So
Okay,
did you have
thank you,
anything
Helen.
else, Andrew?
No, that's it. I think it would be my motion would be approved as submitted with a a landscape area, in lieu of the screen wall, with vegetation appropriate to the neighborhood, something like that.
Second.
Okay, should we go ahead with that motion?
I think we did.
Sorry,
All right.
sorry,
That's okay.
I was just saying,
Okay.
I didn't say all the
Good.
case number.
Is there any discussion? If not, I'll go ahead and call roll. Terry votes aye. Joel,
Yes.
Savannah,
I
Andrew.
Aye.
Okay, it
Joe, I just want
passes.
to make a comment. I agree with Savannah and Andrew on this. They were great comments, so that's why I seconded it.
Great. Okay, that's why I asked some questions so we could just get this moving. So, sir, you'll be Desiree or Jason will be in touch with you about the
Yes.
next steps. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So I apologize to all of you, and I really appreciate your cooperation.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So it's approved, correct?
Yeah, but and then
Subject
they'll
to-
explain the next steps to you since you have to go, right?
I do.
Yes.
Okay.
Could it maybe Desiree can email me?
Or Jason, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Jane,
Jason.
we will be emailing you.
Thank you very much, you both of you. Appreciate it. Take
Have a
care.
good day.
Bye-bye, you too.
Thank you. Okay, so now I am going to take a deep breath here and ask people something. Be sure that if you're a presenter or you're simply on the meeting, could you put your name and your full name and your affiliation in the chat, please? And I've started to take some notes. Okay, so we'll try to get this straight because otherwise it's a nightmare when we try to do the legal action report. Okay, so now we will move back to case 4A, which is SD 0125-00006/CIP -1124-00036 at 1136 North Stone Avenue Youth Transitional Housing Project. It's parcel 115080950. It's a full review in the Miracle Mile Historic District. It's a contributing resource. We use the rehabilitation standards. Now, Desiree, I think I'm just going to let you summarize what they're going to plan to do rather than me read that, okay?
Sounds good. Yeah, so this project has come before you, I believe maybe a couple times. It's been in the works. It's a City of Tucson capital improvement project funded in part with federal funds, and that's why it is coming to PRS. So this is part of the Section 106 review process. The scope includes rehabilitation of a 49-unit motel, was formerly known as the Econo Lodge or the Travel Lodge. Units are being converted into kitchenettes and upgrading electrical and mechanical systems. So this did come before you, and the architects will explain some proposed revisions today. So some of the proposed additions or revisions include the return of the entry to the original location and configuration, addition of guardrails, modifications to 6 doors to accommodate wheelchair access, in-kind stair replacement, added site light poles, new downspouts, filling in of several ground floor openings at the south facade, which will be blocked by an adjacent building, a new lever at the south face, which will be partially blocked by adjacent building as well. So today you may recommend approval with conditions or denial, or may continue the item. So I will hand it over to the architect. Mike, are you going to be speaking?
Yes, I am.
Great.
Thank you, Desiree. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mike Colbert. I'm Liz Flame Associate, the architect on this project for the city. And that was a great description, Desiree. Let me share my. Where am I? There I am. All right, make sure it comes up. There we go. So this was the original submittal. I'll start with that. And if you will recall, what we were coming and requesting was adding some additional structures in to support the stairwells. This original building was designed and built in 1957's late 50s. And all of the balconies and everything are cantilevered out based upon the original design. And then over time, they've added some support. And we really need that because the structure as it sits now doesn't quite work. So the condition was that we not go with what we were showing here, which was a frame stucco support column that matches the existing that had been added at some point. The request was to change that to, and this was what we presented, to steel posts and beams to support the landings at the stairwell, and then adding some steel support second floor to help support the existing guardrail that sits there. So the
Mike,
change is that, sorry, go ahead, please.
So that's what we reviewed before and approved?
Yes.
Or recommended approval? Okay, so
Yes.
just, be sure you tell us what we talked about before, and then if you're changing that and why.
Okay, and all of that is not changing what you've approved.
Okay.
We've actually made some additional modifications that are what we're presenting to you today. The first one, as Desiree said, is this entryway. The original hotel, this was added at some point. Let me go back to these photos. That shows it a little bit better here. All right, where is it? So this photo here, you can see it bumps out. It's got this funky little flat roof on top of it. Once the abatement was completed, so we had to remove all of the drywall on the interior of the building. And once the structure was exposed, we found that the beam that went across here was no longer being supported by anything. So what we proposed to do is take these windows in this existing door, relocate that back to align with this original face of the building. Let me show you that in plan here real quickly. Oops, no plan on that one, sorry. So right now that bump out was here, went over about half the sidewalk. And what we are actually doing is returning it to the original state. I can't zoom in too much on this because it'll get really, really blurry, but you can see that this is the original 1957 Travelodge drawing. And you can see that this line goes straight across. It does not bump out. So we're pulling that wall back to this location to get some support and some structure underneath the beam that crosses this opening. And again, as I said, we're just relocating these existing windows and doors. Now the door, we're actually infilling that as an opening because in our plans, thank you. Our plans, we're adding a door here. This is the main entrance into the office area. So this first section is office and manager's apartment. And then the rest of the units are what exists around on the other side. I mean, all the way around wrapping the building and then on the 2 floors above. So that's one change. The second change is we're adding a lot of landscaping and stuff here, and there was a lot of concerns about people just walking across everything to get out to vehicles and whatnot. So we're proposing to add guardrails that match the ones on the 2nd floor and on the stairwell on this 1st floor to keep people, to push them to the access point that we have on the project. So let me show you that in elevation. Come on, there we go. So that is, and this is not what the railing looks like. Trying to do that in our model was extremely difficult, so we just put in a generic railing. But if we look at the photos, the railing looks, if we got a good picture of the railing, there we go. This is the wrought iron railing that exists now. And as I said, we're going to take this exact layout and duplicate it down on the 1st floor, again, to keep people from walking across our new landscaping and out to the parking lot. So that's one item. I'm sorry, that's 2 items, the bump out, the railing. The third thing, as Desiree said, you know, we always had 2 ADA apartments. Digging through the building code and working with the building official and the plans examiners, we needed to add some additional rooms to provide ADA access. So these red clouds that you see here, this room 101, 104, 110, 111, 112, and 114 will all have larger doors. The doors that exist here are 32 inches wide, which do not meet ADA requirements. So we'll be increasing these doors to 36 inches in width. 1, 2, 3, 4, I think it was 6, yep, 6 locations. That's the same thing we were already doing to these rooms 102 and 103, which was on the approved set previously. Okay. So Desiree, there has been a slight change working with the city. We are still filling in some of the openings along the south face, but after looking through the exceptions of the existing code and things, we're actually leaving some of the windows. One of the requests from the city was because of our close proximity to the building next to us, they wanted us to fill in all of these windows, and that's what Desiree was talking about. We found an exception in the existing building codes that will allow us to keep these windows. And so the ones that you see here are the ones that will remain. We are getting rid of some windows, such as this bathroom here. There was a door and a window here in this storage room, and that door was long since blocked off because there's nowhere to go with that. We're filling that in. And then a couple of additional windows down here in the management space and stuff. What I had highlighted here is just the tube steel posts and steel guardrail systems. So the stuff that was previously approved, the steel posts and the steel beams, are still included, of course, and that's this is our final set of construction documents now. The other thing that has come about is we found that 3 stairwells, because of these cantilever landings over time, they have really deteriorated and sagged, and we've got code requires that your steps be a consistent height all the way from the very start all the way up to the top, or each section, I'm sorry. So from the ground here to the landing, then from the landing up to here. That is not the case out there in the field. They are all over the place. So these stairs, let's flip back to those photos, are cast in place concrete. Kind of see them. Zoom out this way then. This is not one of the ones we're replacing. This one was okay, but you can see it's the concrete slab of the balcony becomes part of the stairwell itself, and then the structure sits below. So we are proposing to remove those stairwells, we're following this exact same treatment. The stairs would look the same as they do here currently, but then we'd have consistent rises from the base to the top. And
But the one you're showing us would remain, right, Mike?
Correct. It's these 3 here. So this stair coming up in the corner, and this stair going up are the 3 that we would be replacing. Not the structure, just the concrete at the landings in all 3 of those locations, as well as down here. And we are replacing the landings, the concrete on the landings as well, because there's a lot of cracking and whatnot. Again, we'll match this exact same thickness. So our goal is to, when it's completed, and we'll put the guardrails back in as well. But when we're done, it's going to look exactly the same. We just won't have we have a 9.5-inch riser height right here, which is one of the worst ones on this property.
But the remainder of the concrete wouldn't be replaced, correct? In front of those doors, just
Correct.
the landings?
Just
Okay.
the landing and the stairwell itself. You are correct, yes. Okay. All right, and I believe that's the changes. Let me flip through here again. This is just showing the stairs going up to the 3rd floor. Let me flip to the elevations. We are adding 2 light poles for safety purposes. And let me flip back to that first page. I'll show you where those are. Those are one right here. This is where there was a pool here that's being removed, and we're creating a catch basin and landscaped area. So this light gives us access and visibility to this stairs, as well as this is our bicycle locker parking and our bicycle. So this is long-term bicycle parking, short-term bicycle parking. And this will cast some light into the parking lot. And then we're adding one other light pole here, which again, to get for safety and security purposes, to light up this area of the parking lot as well. I obviously forgot to highlight those on that plan. We also had a lot of issues with the downspout. So what we're going to do here is to remove the bottom section of the downspout and put them back in again. We have to offset this one, and this is the north face of the building, by the way. We have to offset this one because of the alignment we have. We're bumping the curb out and doing this landscaped buffer area through this section here. Because of these existing common electrical boxes that are in the ground here, we couldn't come across with our sidewalk scupper where the existing downspout was. So we're leaving it where it comes down from the building, offsetting it to here to this sidewalk scupper to get the water into these landscaped areas here. Okay. Flip back. Oh, I did forget to mention this. Not that big of a deal, but we are adding grouped mailboxes underneath this stairwell right off the office here as well. Again, those are just standalone mounted on the slab. There's 3 sets of them to get the quantity of people, the 49 units we have here included in that. So,
I'm sorry, did I miss the new louver and I just was spacing out?
the new louver.
Yeah, it says new louver at south face, which will be partially blocked by adjacent building.
Oh, that is about this louver here. That is new, yes. This room inside here, inside the building, is where our 2 water heaters are. So we need to get ventilation into that space. So there was a door and a window. This is the window the door that had been blocked off for a long time ago. We're filling those 2 in and just doing a louver. Now that won't be visible because of the property adjacent. The
Right.
building
That's what it
next
says.
door, yeah, right there, really close.
Okay. So those are the new things, and I just have a couple questions, and I'll turn it over to other PRS members. So you're blocking off a lot of windows, right? So
Correct.
is there, and are these all historic openings that you're blocking off?
Well, all windows in the building have been replaced at some point, so they're not the original
But
single
they were
pane.
open, they were original openings.
They were original openings, that is correct, yes.
Okay, and you're also going to, that door you're getting rid of on the old office area?
Yes, okay.
And is there anything, I mean, I don't know if PRS members feel, or Desiree, you feel that there needs to be some sort of indication that they were removed, or is this an issue that so many are changed? I mean, particularly that door.
I will add that I sent the plans to Chabot, who reviewed as part of Section 106, and they didn't have any issues with the changes proposed in this iteration. Additionally, I don't know if Mike, if you wanted to show any of the postcards that you had, some of the images from I think the 50s or 60s that kind of showed what the original that
Thank
front
you. I
area
forgot to
looks
bring
like,
those up.
because
Yeah,
the current, what we're seeing, what's there now is not, it was not historic, right? So
correct.
at least at
So,
that entry area, they will be
Yeah.
taking it back more closely to what it looked like before.
Right, but just with a different entrance to, as he showed us, you know, I understand that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if other commissioners were concerned about that. You did mention that the plans were your final renderings, but you have some things that aren't correct on there, you said. So for example, the fencing that you have on the lower levels so that people don't cross the planted areas. I mean, so you're going to have that's not the fence you'd be using, or it is?
This is just diagrammatic for a guardrail. We would actually be mapping the existing railing that is there on the second floor.
Is there any way, let's say that you weren't knowledgeable of architectural shorthand, right? And you were asked to review this plan later or look at it. And so really what you want is, you know, is there any way you can indicate on the plans what it would really look like somewhere? Or
Well,
just,
yeah, that's not included in the submittal we sent to you guys. Our actual documentation, let me bring that up with what's been submitted for permitting. Our details show exactly how to build it. Let's see.
Yeah.
Here's my permit set.
Yeah, and Desiree and Jason, that's something we need to talk about because we're not seeing what we used to see. You know, we're just seeing these shortcuts and things like that. We didn't even see as much as El Presidio saw on that first one. So that's just not really, doesn't make it easy.
Yeah.
Find the detail here. I jumped right past it. Okay, so here you'll see the construction of the new guardrails, which then mimics what is actually built there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. We went out and field verified all of the dimensions of everything and called out all the different pieces and their elevations and everything too.
Okay. Because we actually do get in the weeds about these details. Sorry. Okay, let's go ahead and ask who wants to start on plans review.
I can start. I just have a few questions. Thanks for returning, Mike. I think all good developments, just a few questions. The stair replacements, you said that they're like non-compliant. So are you able to, within the run that you have and the number of treads, able to even it out, or do you have to extend them?
No, what we agreed with the city was that if we're slightly over, so the maximum height on a riser is 7 inches. If we're like 7 1/4, 7 1/8, as long as they're consistent through the entire run, then we're fine. So we are not moving the bottoms to the top. The top and bottom landings will go right back where they are.
Okay, and then since it does seem like where you have the mailboxes, there's no walkway under there, right? Do you have railing under there to keep people from hitting their head and they go under?
That is exactly right. Yeah, let me go back to the plan. A little easier to see that here. So yeah, I mean, people can walk underneath it, obviously, but the walkway kind of splits. The main access way is up against the building this route, and we're putting the 3 of those right underneath so they're flush with the outside face of the stairwell. So there's nothing above them, but it's just that limited location right there where we're putting them into.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would consider putting a rail there so people who are hard of visually impaired, right, wouldn't hit their head.
Good
that's
point,
just a code thing though. It's not really historic, but I mean, I appreciate the matching the railing and using it elsewhere to kind of guide people on site. I think that's fine. But yeah, that could be a head knocker right there. People who aren't looking up.
Thank you. I will take a look at that. Yeah.
Sure. The front sidewalk, I appreciate pulling in and basically giving back that sidewalk at the entry. And I think as proposed, it's fine, especially kind of putting back that storefront and that one room to kind of indicate where that used to be. I guess I'm curious what happens at the end. Can people walk now all the way and connect to the street, or is there too much of a drop there and they can't come all the way through?
So, I mean, they could, but we're putting fencing in, security fencing,
Oh,
which
okay.
was in our original submittal. That we pushed them out to this sidewalk here, which slopes down, and then there's a gate at that location that they can come out from.
Okay, so is that all sidewalk there, or is that section, is that planted area? Is that still
No,
sidewalk?
This is all still sidewalk. That's actually the existing original sidewalk is what,
Oh, okay.
what remains here. Yeah.
Okay. And then at the end, you said it's like a guardrail or a fence? Is it like a full
It's a
height fence?
Yeah, an 8-foot tall wrought iron fence with a curved top, the city standard.
Okay. And that's the one you've had this whole time, right? I think we looked
That's
at that
correct.
last time. Okay.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
All right, but that new sidewalk that then connects up all accessibly.
Correct. That's our accessible route to get out here. And the only reason we're replacing this little piece of sidewalk is we've got to get power out to the gates that are out here. And the only way we could find to do that was to remove the sidewalk here, bring them out this location into this junction box. This is all flush with the regular sidewalk, except for here it begins to slope down because there are 2 steps, and you'll see that actually that was in the original right there. You can see those 2 guys right there.
Okay, yeah, I think everything else seems fine to me. Thanks for sharing the extra details. Oh, the window infills on the, was it the south side?
Outside,
Is there any, when you infill them, will they be evident? Can you see them?
No, the intention is to match the exact stucco finish, and we're repainting the entire building to get away from this. I don't know what color you would call that. A very bright yellow.
I do
It's
appreciate
a
that.
mustard. Yeah.
What is the gap from the south building then? Is there room
I
there
got
to work?
There's I'm a little large to probably fit there.
Got it.
There is a little bit, there's about 2.5 feet. And one end it's 2.5 feet. I guess we don't have a good photo of that here.
Yeah.
But it increases to about 3 feet on the far west end. So.
Okay, but you can't be back there. I mean, I asked because if there are portions of it that you can see, it would be nice to see some evidence of what the windows or the openings, if there's a pattern of them, used to be. Just provides a nice little visual history of what you changed about the building instead of just trying to, make it completely go away and erase it. So that would be another thing I'd maybe consider if you can see it from the street, which I can't quite tell.
Yeah, the only one you would see from the street is this closet. This is a door as well. This is where a water heater existed inside. And they had water heaters spread all over this building, and we're consolidating them to this location. These other openings are all concealed by that building.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, Andrew or Joel?
Sure, I can go. I was actually digging through my email because I provided some comments on this when maybe we were going to do it as a minor review. I think Savannah touched on most of it. I think all of the openings that we're infilling should be treated like we'd normally treat them so that the opening is evident. I know we can't see them now, but the building that's blocking it is kind of junky. So it may not be there forever. Who knows? But so I would just do all the openings with make them evident with a reveal or, something to that effect. The one question I had, I'm a little unclear still on that storefront for the lobby. Are you able to pull up that postcard? I think it was that showed it.
Yeah, this was the original layout. which was modified to what we have. Let me flip back to, where is it? To this photo. And then it was, at some point when this bump out was created, it was modified to this. So let me flip back and forth between those two.
And I know, Mike, we're going to keep that configuration of windows, right? We're just pushing them back.
We're just exactly.
And but it's not a door anymore, right? It's just a solid fixed panel.
It's
correct.
A fixed piece of glass. Yeah. So, flip back to. So now again, it'll look the same. We'll just put a frame on the bottom. Redo the frame. We got a panel of insulated glass at that location now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that. I think there was a postcard image where like that all was Florida or like full length. The glass went down to the floor. But if you're just salvaging what you have and reinstalling it, I think that's fine with me.
Okay.
On the other kind of question I had on the ground floor railings to prevent the damage to the landscape.
Yes.
Have you looked at any kind of alternatives to that? The only reason I ask is that that railing's kind of visually heavy, and I know you're matching what's there, but have you looked at any kind of alternate landscape designs, like maybe some larger rocks or more deterrent plants, or like shaping that area in a way that doesn't encourage people to walk through it?
We did discuss that. Wilder is the company that the city has hired for. It's part of Shade and Shadow in their scope of work. So, and they've already been through the landscape review of the information. We do have boulders and a variety of those sorts of things around. These are utes. You know, that's part of the issue is they're going to take the easiest route wherever it is, and skip around, you know, the plants or the stuff that gets in the way. It is a limited desert landscape palette that's being used here, though. And the only real exception is there are a couple of stepping stones and a gap here to get quick and easy access to the seating area that's in back here as well.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's the only intent of that guardrail is to push them to the openings.
Okay, yeah, understood. On this section right here on the north side of the parking lot.
Okay. Yeah.
It looks like there's a rail there, but there's no landscape. Do you need the rail there for that sloped sidewalk or something?
We did leave it here because there's a difference in elevation. We're going from 81.3 down. There's the foot difference to here, and didn't want somebody to come across here, trip and fall, and get hurt because of that lip there.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay.
Okay. This is actually our accessible route. There's a very large increase. There's a slope in the sidewalk right here that, you know, it's a difference, a change of about 2 feet, and there was no way to make this ADA accessible. So we had to unfortunately direct people all the way around over here to get, you know, to get the laundry, which is up here, and to get ADA access back to the sitting area into our dumpster down here as well.
Okay. And these are all like slope walkways at 1 to 20 or something like that. They're not ramps with a
They are
handrail.
not ramps.
Okay.
You're exactly correct. We got enough length that we could just consider them slope sidewalks. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Yeah, I think that's really the only questions I had. Turn it over to Joel or Terry.
Okay, Joel, do you have anything?
No, yeah, you all covered it already. I know this building pretty well. It's in my neighborhood and it's, I think it's a good project, but no, they've covered it. Thanks.
I have the
Oh, great.
postcard just because you've referenced it.
Oh, I was
Um,
going to ask to see that. Yeah, thank you.
Just so people can see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you have
and
the
I
other
didn't-
one. I thought I had them both. I couldn't find the other one. So.
Oh, nice.
Different color as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
What
Hmm.
happened to the bear?
You went away with the travel lodge, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Cool.
That's nice. So, Andrew, thanks for bringing up those reveals because I brought that up right in the beginning and no one seemed to like pick up on that until you mentioned it again. So,
Yeah, I know you won't be able to see them maybe ever, but just for consistency of how we normally treat it.
no, I think it's a nice idea. Yeah. Um, so, okay. So would Savannah or Andrew make the motion, please? Or tell us what it's going to be?
I think it's approved as presented and that the infield openings should have a reveal or control joint to indicate the existing opening. Was there any other conditions, Savannah? Okay.
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's that lack of a cane rail under the stair, but I think that's a building code issue. So
But I think he took note of that anyway,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah. I
that's
did.
a smart thing.
Yeah.
And what did you ultimately think about instead of using the railing on the lower level to use some kind of other landscaping? No?
Yeah, it sounded like that they didn't think that would be a sufficient solution, so I think I'm okay. I
Yeah.
won't die on the hill. It's not like
No,
a
but people
beautiful yeah,
constantly do that. When they have just
I
vegetation,
know.
people are always trampling it, going to the parking lot because they get annoyed that they have to go to the
Yeah.
exit points.
Yes.
So we get it. I've been
Yeah.
enough too many motels. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
glad.
think for the residents' benefits too, just to feel a little more screened
Exactly.
or
Yeah, and that's why I kind
protected.
of thought. Yeah, yeah. So, okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to go
Right.
ahead, if no one has any other additions, let's go ahead and make that motion. And let me just clarify something first. Mr. Lee, you are here for the city for this case, correct? Peter Lee?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, I just want to be sure I associate you with the right case. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All right. On the matter of SD 0125000006 dash or slash CIP 1124000036 at 1136 North Stone Avenue, I recommend approval of the project as presented with the following condition: that the infilled openings have a reveal or control joint to indicate the original openings.
Okay, is there a second for that?
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there further discussion on the motion? Okay, I'll go ahead and call roll. I vote aye. Andrew,
Aye.
Joel,
Aye.
Savannah.
Aye.
Great, thank you. It passes unanimously. And Andrew, you owe us text on 2 motions so far. And we'll see how many by the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right. I'll send those.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, and good luck. And
Great.
you know the next steps, or
Yes.
do you need? Okay, perfect. I thought you would.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. And Andrew, you were very kind describing that building next door. So it's ugly.
Yeah, I hope it's
No, no.
not there forever, but
Agreed.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you, everybody.
thanks, everyone. Good luck with the project.
All right. Bye-bye.
Unfortunately, I kind of like that green on the paint, but oh well, mustard it is. Let's see. So we're on to, we already did item 4B, so we will go on to item 4C, which is SD 0525000062 / TC-RES -0525-02368 at 514 West 17th Street, parcel 117190. The full review in the Barrio Historico HPZ. It's non-contributing, and we use the rehabilitation standards. So our staff contact is Jason. And Jason, do you want to give us some background?
Yes, thank you, Chair Majewski. Members of the subcommittee, I present to you this proposed scope of work as a detached ADU located towards the front of the property. with the historic structure located towards the rear of the lot. This was continued from the advisory board meeting on August 11th to the September 8th meeting. Part of the continuance was to check with Arizona SHPO on whether an ADU would delist the status of the building from contributing. SHPO replied in an email dated August 15th that this would not be a case for delisting, given that the placement of the ADU was to the side and the historic structure will still be visible from the public right of way. SHPO further stated that the issue of scale and massing would be a matter to be determined by local historic review. Our Historical Advisory Board made a motion to approve with the following conditions. 1, lower the ADU height to 10 feet 3 inches. Downsize the dimensions of the windows on the east, west, and southern elevations of the ADU by 20% or 56 inches on both sides, and proportionally downsize the window panes. The other condition was that the landscape wall be 6 feet high. And our condition is they cannot lower the courtyard space between the existing structure and the proposed ADU, that the steel frame window on west elevation be moved up by a minimum of 8 inches, and that the applicant come back for a minor review of the window reduced dimensions. With that following conditions, the motion passed unanimously. There are no public comments. And I believe the applicant, Mitch Makowick, is here to present their proposed ADU. This concludes my staff report, and I'm available for any questions.
Great, thank you very much. So Mitch, can you tell me, do you have a presentation to bring up, or are you the owner, the architect? What are you on this?
Yeah, I'm the owner and designer, and I do have a presentation that I can run you guys through.
Great, thank you. Desiree, do you have to give him permission?
Should have permission if you would like to try to share your screen.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Sorry, real quick, can someone send us the minutes from the advisory board?
Yes.
Thanks.
Did they get posted late, so you didn't post them on the?
Let's see.
Probably same for next case too, if they were heard at the same time.
All right, is that visible to everyone?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great. Shall I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So this presentation was given to the, well, yeah, my name is Mitch, and I'm presenting this ADU. It was presented to the Barrio Historical Advisory Board, mostly as such, with a few additions based on their feedback. So the project is a detached ADU that would be located in the front of the parcel because there's no backyard to the parcel. The main dwelling, which is contributing, is positioned all the way so that it is touching the back edge of the parcel. So the variance was requested to have the ADU be in front of the main house, and then another variance for it to be 0 setback like its neighbors. And then depending on the height of the landscape wall that gets approved, possibly a DDO for that, which would be, as I understand it, a different process. This is located in the El Hoyo neighborhood of Barrio Historico on 17th Street.
Mitch, before you go on, could you just, I'm sorry, did you say variances would be needed to place it in front of the house? And what was the second one? I'm sorry,
to place the ADU at the 0
Oh,
front lot
there's
line
the lot
setback.
line, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So the region in gray on this map of El Hoyo is the development zone. So it's all the houses on 17th Street, which are all contributing, and then West Carrillo Street behind it. with a smattering of contributing, non-contributing, and vacant lots, because it is on the edge of the Barrio Historico. This is an overview of the site, a development zone aerial view. And again, the other board asked for more detailed height measurements. So these are the measurements of all the buildings taken from the front facade at grade to the top of the structure that is outlined in the TSM, I believe. So it's a mix of gable and parapet structures. The parapet ones are called out because the proposed ADU is a parapet structure, and either the TSM or the UDC stipulates to compare like for like in terms of roof type. But you can see that in total, the roof heights range from 9 feet to 15 feet among all the buildings, and then among the parapet buildings, it's 9 feet to 14 feet. This is the main dwelling. This is the historic property inventory form. It's pink stucco, wood windows painted white, and a metal gable roof. These are the elevations of it. All double-hung windows, solid doors. And then these are, I'll run through these a little bit quickly. The development zone properties. So these are going from west to east along 17th Street. I'll pause to note the one in the middle here is a pretty similar precedent for the proposed structure, just a little bit smaller in scale. And then that's the lot in the middle here as it is. You can see these houses there's a topography change of about 4 feet from the public right of way to the front yard of these houses. So there are different strategies to deal with that topography. And this is going from east to west on West Carrillo Street. So in this site plan, you can see the position of the ADU with regards to the main structure. And then below the site plan, there's kind of elevation of the neighboring buildings with the ADU. So the ADU as proposed is having a 13-foot height at the front facade. And then the adjacent landscape wall would have a height from the one that's preferred is 8 feet, but I kind of put it up to the Barrio board to see what heights they were okay with. But you see all the adjacent structures to the west are parapet buildings, and then then 4 gable buildings after that. And then all the structures to the east are set back from the front lot line. So the idea is to more closely match the western neighbors, which would have the same front yard setback. And the landscape wall here also acts as a kind of zero lot line privacy wall to kind of blend in with the neighboring structures, which have this kind of broken up massing of kind of part of the building being at the front lot line and then part of it being set back a little bit. And some have porches, others don't. There'd be some native landscaping that's already there and would be expanded, and there'd be some catchment basins in the front here that in the public right of way that the drainage canales some of them would drain onto, and then another canale would drain out to an existing basin, which is in the front yard in front of the house. And then there would also be kind of stairs made to negotiate the topography change here to get to the entrance of the ADU, which is actually on the north in between the two structures. And then the height, I should say, falls within the range of the 9 feet to 14 feet that exists in the development zone. And the Barrio board, their comments and their height condition kind of stemmed from their focus on the neighboring buildings directly to the west, which are 9 feet, 10 feet, and 10'9". Just to note that.
Didn't they say 10.3?
Yes, yeah. So I was just saying the neighboring ones are those heights, and the 10.3 came from them as like the maximum height for the ADU.
Okay, and talk about what they wanted to do with the windows.
So the windows, I'll go to the next. I'll cover this really quickly. These are just different heights of the landscape walls, and the one that's preferred is the 8-foot one, which would require a DDO because 6 feet is the maximum height for a front lot line privacy wall, according to the UDC.
And didn't they recommend 6? I think
They
they
recommended
did.
6, yes.
Yeah, and so you're just showing what it looks like there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so in the elevations, this will give a good view of those windows. So it's starting from the north, west, south, and east. The windows in question are in the west, south, and east here, the square windows, which are 6 feet square. So they're recommending to just shrink them by 80% of what they are right now. And then on the north is a similar language of windows, but it's the door, which is a 6'8" opening where the door is 4 feet wide of that, and then there's a side light of 2 feet. And then there are other windows that are also steel casement, but single pane. This window on the west elevation I'm circling with my cursor is the one they recommended the Barrio board recommended to raise by 8 inches. And yes, so you can see the topography change clearly on the east elevation with those stairs. And then on the west, you can also see that the privacy wall is dotted in as potential different heights. The 6 feet is this lower line here, and then 8 feet is this one as well. And then there'd be another kind of terracing down here. So there'd be basically a side courtyard for this unit on that side. And then as far as the exterior openings, these are the half of the image that's black is from a building in the development zone. And then the half of the image on the right that's blue is from a building that's in the neighborhood outside the development zone, just showing that there are existing steel casement windows. And the idea is to do the same thing with this building, which is different from the primary dwelling. But because it's in the development zone, I chose that material. And then these would be manufactured by a local blacksmith named Doug Thompson. He's made steel casement windows specifically for historic houses to admit double pane glazing to be a little bit more energy efficient. And that would be the intent here. So the 2 pictures on the right bottom corner here are details from his windows in progress. And then there's a picture of the detail on the top left corner of that existing historic precedent. So just to illustrate that he makes them very similar to what is historically present. And they'd be completely divided light windows, separate panes for each part of the window as is historic. And they would be set back at least 5 inches, which is the predominant dimension for where the windows are placed within the facade of the dwelling. Elsewhere in the barrio, it's a little bit it's deeper because of the thicker adobe walls, but buildings in this neighborhood have about foot-thick wall buildups, and so they're kind of set about in the middle of those wall buildups. The exterior finish would be stucco and pink, like the principal dwelling, but a different texture than the principal dwelling and a slightly different color to distinguish it from the principal dwelling. I should also say the casement windows would be powder coated white to match the existing dwelling as well. And then there's a photo here of the canale, this square canale that's on the neighbor's parapet. And so a similar canale would be used for the front facade and the back facade. And this is sort of before and after rendering of what is currently there and a rendering of that ADU with that landscape wall. That landscape wall in this rendering is about 7 feet. So on the shorter side of what was proposed. And think that's it for this presentation. I have additional references after this slide in case they're needed, but that was essentially what was presented to the RO board.
Okay, before I start taking questions and comments, I mean, is this, so the ADU placement of it here and deciding to build it came about because of the new state legislation, correct?
And it wasn't a direct, the position of it isn't described or updated. I'm not familiar with it being updated in the state legislation.
Well, it's the whole building of ADUs in front. I mean, and the reason you did it there is because it's unlike some of its neighbors in the neighborhood, the main house is not zero lot line in the front, right? It's so you have that empty space in the front. And so Desiree, is this one of the new ADUs that's permitted?
Yeah, so he will need to get a variance to put the ADU in front of the lot. The reason for the placement, and feel free to add, Mitch, but they don't have really a rear yard because the placement, yeah, the house is all the way at the back.
But I mean, it's allowed because, I mean, the variance won't be denied, correct? Because it is that new state law.
No, I don't think so. I think the reason of the variance is because currently it's not allowed at the front, right? By right, that's why they would have to go through that variance to get that special approval to put it in front of the main residence.
Right, but normally, go ahead.
Sorry,
Andrew,
sorry, I've dealt with our lots like this. I think you can do an ADU in the front yard, but it has to be attached normally, which is not something we would want to do in a historic district for sure.
No.
Yeah.
But you can still see the primary residence, correct?
Correct.
Partially.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna slip back really quick to the side.
no, I saw that. I'm sure everyone else did too. But I mean, this is sort of similar to what's coming to increase density, correct? Desiree?
So are you referring to the middle housing policy? Because the ADU policy that, has been in effect for at least a year or two.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we haven't seen all that many of them in the front, flat right in front of it, so we just, okay. Just want that to be on the record. So, okay, go ahead, Andrew. Do you have comments?
Oh, no, not really. It looks good to me. I think it's responding really well to its context, both from a scale perspective and architecturally. I know you have a kind of a grading challenge in the front where the front yard drops off pretty far, and I think you've mitigated that pretty well. Just visually, that the front window just feels low, but I understand that it's not from inside. So if you could raise that some, that might help. You probably have to temper that just based on how close it is to the ground anyway. So it might save you a little money if you can get it up out of that the hazard zone anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks great. Windows look great. I like that you're using, complementary materials and colors, but you're not copying. So I think that's good. I don't really have anything I would change, I don't think. So I'll hand it over to Savannah or Joel.
Wait, before you do, Andrew, do you agree with the HPZ's recommendations for the advisory board's recommendations for height of that wall, downsizing the windows and so forth, and the variances in front? And at the lot line?
The windows, no. And then the wall, they were talking about the landscape wall on the west side, right?
Right, and they wanted 6 foot.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate. I would agree with that. Sorry, it looked like that to me in the one rendering. that it was lower, but yeah, so,
Yeah, if I go back to that one, this one is about 7 because
yeah,
this top of the window is about 7. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
be a little bit
they
shorter than that.
specifically asked for 6. Because
yeah,
you'd have to get something, a variance type for that more than 6 foot high, right?
Yeah,
you'd have to get like a more proper permit, so it'd have to be engineered. You couldn't rely on the like prescriptive footing designs, but you're probably having to do that anyway because it's retaining.
yes.
So
And
yeah,
so you don't care if it's higher than 6, or are you okay with 6?
I'm okay with 6. I don't care if it's a little bit higher because to me it reads as like building massing. And it reads as like part of a building at 0 lot line, which is appropriate to the context. So
Mm-hmm.
it
Okay.
doesn't bother me. Yeah.
Okay, and then limit the height of the parapet to 10.3? Like the
Where
advisory
were they?
board.
Where was the advisory board measuring that from? Would be my question. Like the
Which
downhill
one?
side, the street side, an average grade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I couldn't figure that out where they
Yeah.
got that number.
Can you go back to that elevation you were just at where it shows that
Oh.
side?
This side?
Yeah, so you're at 13 from the street right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they
And
were
then
referring to from the street,
from the street.
yeah.
And then the development zone has heights between like 10 and 14 feet, you said?
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
so
just to the east, that building is 14 feet as a parapet.
yeah,
Yes.
so from the street, this doesn't bother me. It seems in scale with everything. So I wouldn't lower it. Yeah. So to answer your question, Terry, no, I generally don't agree with many of the advisory board recommendations.
So I think we should call out the ones we do agree with. Otherwise, I mean, because the director
Yeah.
will make the decision, but I think we should be clear about what we think. Okay? That's why I asked that.
Yeah.
Okay. Savannah?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, that file didn't open for me. So if someone could go through the advisory board comments just once more and we can double check which ones we agree with. But yeah, I tend to agree with Andrew, that I don't see any point of changing any windows. Even the height of the parapet, I'm not sure it's fair to implement something lower. And then the landscape wall, yeah, up to 7 feet seems fine to me as well. But yeah, shall we go through one by one and see?
Yes, I can certainly go ahead and do that.
Okay, here's the motion. I mean, Desiree put
thank
it in the chat. Let's look at that here.
So
Okay.
lower the ADU height to 10.3. So from the drawing, it's the development plan.
Yeah. Do you want me to go back to that?
Yeah, parapet next door is at 14
Yes.
to the east. So the advisory board wanted, I mean, even the one to the west is 10.9. So I just don't quite understand why holding it down to 10.3 is reasonable or fair.
I mean, is it just mostly to defer to the main structure more, or what do you think? I'm just curious why they would do that.
I
So-
think it was
maybe,
the
but-
neighboring properties, right, to kind of be deferential to the ones on like the 10.9 and 10 foot.
Yeah,
Mm.
that makes sense because it's lower than the main house on the property. So
Yeah, I mean, and also
yeah.
the 14 is further back.
Yeah, but I mean they've got 12 foots right up on the front property line. You know, those last 4 on the west. So I don't know.
And this
I
is,
think
if what I remember is they also said you cannot compare the max height of that proposed parapet with those gable roofs are at 12 feet. That's one of the things that they had brought up. And the one that's to the right, 14 feet to Homestead, they said that's a gable roof. You can't compare a gable roof with their max ridge height to a parapet.
Is that coming from their design guidelines, or was that just more of an opinion
It was
from
more of
them?
an opinion.
Okay.
And I think also too, they did mention that this is something in their draft design guidelines. But again, this is draft and it has not been approved by mayor or city council.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because I think I would defer to how the current design guidelines and the UDC measure height, which I think is what we're talking about and evaluating here. So, you know. Sorry, go ahead, Savannah.
Oh no,
She had
I
another.
I agree. I was just
I'm
trying
gonna
to
chime in.
understand
This is
it.
Joel. I agree with this discussion. I don't see the reason for that height requirement either, so.
I think the site wall, like actually being a little higher, helps to be like differential to that. It helps to bridge that gap to the house to the west.
Yeah,
Because you're at like 10, yeah, you're at like 10-9. You step down to like a 7-foot wall that feels like it's kind of part of a building massing, and then it steps back up. So I think it's mitigated nicely, I think, by that.
Okay, I agree. And then maybe you could take us. Is the downsizing of the windows, is that also something in their guidelines that are that is proposed, or is it? I'm trying to understand where that is coming from. Is that just a preference on their behalf?
I recall the discussion being around like proportion and being in proportion with other windows in the district or the development zone. I think they thought
Okay.
the size of the window was too large.
So, and what you're showing in these drawings is your original size, so we can kind of get a sense of
yes,
that, right?
yeah, I did not change the proposal.
And so I made some note that they wanted to downsize the windows by 80%, like
20.
by so many inches, right?
Is this front window is a 6x6 you're showing?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's not gargantuan, but I mean, maybe something that would be more in character with the neighborhood would be like, you know, 2 windows next to each other that had more of a vertical proportion, or like a pair of like, you know, 3x6 windows that were molded together or something.
Yeah.
But maybe that's kind of what they're responding to.
Could
Is
also
like
be, oh, sorry.
just like the big picture window isn't kind of typical. Although, yeah, I don't know. Some of the houses down the street have some wider casements that look like they're maybe at like 5 or 6 feet. So
Yeah, I just want to point out these two neighbors. The center picture being the one has a 5x6 opening that's centered. It's very similar to what the proposal is. And then also the neighbor next to it has a centered window, more vertical proportion, but also similar elements. So that was kind of what I was trying to respond to the immediate neighbors in that sense.
yeah, there's one just a little bit more west. I think it's like 522.
Yeah, and then these gable buildings, this one has these wide steel casement
Mhm.
windows.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at. And like the on the right hand side, that house, the window on the left hand side, I think is pretty similar to what you're proposing.
Yeah.
Is that, I can't see the one where the cursor is? Is that?
Yeah,
here,
it's behind like a bush, but you can.
I think I have it later in the presentation, actually. Got other photos of it. Yeah, so it's in the top right here. That window.
And that's not square, so. Yeah.
Yeah, I
so
mean, I'm
that's-
wondering if it's because it's square that it's unsettling for them as opposed to more rectilinear.
Yeah, So yeah, we have these horizontal windows in some of the houses, vertical in other houses, and then the immediate neighbor, which is this one that I'm circling, has pretty square proportions. Actually, in the front facade, they're 4x4 and 3x3. I think this one's a little bit horizontal, but there's a bit of a variety of proportions of windows in the neighborhood.
Yeah, there is a good bit of variety, and you have stuff from, steel casements to single and double hung wood windows, and you've kind of got a mix of everything. So I think you're responding to it appropriately.
So you're okay with the 6x6 one?
Personally, I am. I think I see where the advisory board is, what they're responding to anyway, though. But I don't think there's not like an impetus to copy everything, or that like every single opening has to be, have a direct precedent exactly. I don't think.
Okay, just wanted to have a little discussion on that.
Yeah.
So Joel, you said you're okay with the discussion so far, or do you have other
Yeah,
things to add?
the only on windows, when we were back in the picture of the proposed window that Andrew was talking about, he's okay. It's very low, but he's okay with it. And I kind of agree with him. I do agree with him, except in the picture, the window that was off to the right seems very high in proportion to that. And so it just had a funny look to me, but not anything that I think offends the standards. So yeah, I'm okay.
But didn't Andrew think maybe raise it just a little bit if possible?
Yeah, I think so. These two elevations you will kind of see together, right? This east elevation and the north elevation, if you're looking at it from the corner.
Probably south and east,
Or
right?
this south, yeah, south,
Mhm.
south and east. So, why is the? Sorry, I didn't look at like the floor plan too closely. Is there like a second? This is all one story, right? Or is there a loft or something?
It's a loft, yeah.
It's a loft. I gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe what would help is just that the datum across all of it kind of bounces around. Like
Mhm.
if you were to draw a horizontal line, there's like stuff that doesn't quite align. So I think the stuff not all having the same, head or sill height is okay. But for instance, on this south elevation window, if you move that up a little bit so that like the the s- the horizontal mullion, like between the trying to not get complicated describing this, like
Mhm.
if like the bottom third of the window, the mullion on top of that, if that aligns with like the top of the window on the west elevation, you know what I mean? Like,
On the west. Oh, on
so
this
like
one?
so like if you move the south window up a little bit so that like
Mhm.
the bottom three panes of this window aligned with the top three panes of the
Yeah.
west, that might give it just like a little bit more like
Mhm.
cohesion. That would help, maybe.
Yeah. Well, the landscape wall would make it tough to see that relationship from the exterior.
That's true. Yeah.
Um,
Then maybe it's aligning like the top two or the top six panes of the south with like the bottom six panes of the east, or something to that effect.
could
Just
be.
so that
Yeah.
something lines up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the response was, again, I'm gonna go back to this elevation of this house. So yeah, I mean in this picture, I guess you can see that it's a little bit raised up, but it's I mean it's less than a foot. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what the response was to these kind of lower, you can see on the gable one and this one as well. It's like they're pretty low to the front facade. Um so and then you can kind of tell here there's a window here, and then when you turn the corner to this building, you have this higher window. So that was also the response. What the design's responding to is there
Yeah.
is there isn't really lots of alignments also in the in the existing historic structures.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at any Adobe row house, the window heights dance around all over the place. There's like there wasn't that focus on like that datum, but maybe on a new build, maybe it just stands out more,
Mhm.
or because of the proportion of the windows, it stands out more.
Mm.
So if we look at the motion from the advisory board, the 6th point is that the applicant come back for a minor review of the window reduced dimensions. I mean, we could leave that up to to be in the director's letter on whatever they decide. Or is that something, if we're not going to recommend reducing the size of the window, then that would be a moot point, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Even though both sets of comments are, taken into consideration in the director's
Yeah.
letter.
If the director decides to implement their second point of their motion, then sounds like it would trigger this
That minor
item
review.
6. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. go
Sorry,
ahead.
just so number 3, I think we can say what up to 7 feet would be acceptable to us, or we could stick with the 6.
Yeah.
Item
Sounds
4
fine.
cannot lower the courtyard space between the existing structure and proposed ADU. Can someone speak to that? I'm not sure.
Okay. Desiree and I had a discussion on what they meant, and I believe what they meant by that is if we go to that side elevation where we have top of the parapet at 13 feet and you got ground level at 0. So part of the recommendation is that really from the right-hand side where the principal structure is, it is 17 feet 6 inches from grade to the top of the parapet, not from street level. So I believe their rationale was not to dig down on the lower part of the grade in order to have the parapet be at 10 feet 3 inches. Does that make any sense?
I just want to jump in. I think they're meaning that the entry level, right, which is called out at the elevation here. I think the stipulation was to avoid lowering that further. Because
And
at one
so I
point,
think
at one
there
point in the
was a
site
little bit of
plan,
confusion there, I think.
yeah, at one point in the one of the courtesy reviews, I revised the presentation to say, I think it's actually here, in the last paragraph, but basically that the entry level is 4 inches lower than the current site grade, so that it would be lowered and then drain into the existing basins to negotiate that small change. I think it was responding to that where they were saying to keep the entry level in the middle of the lot as it is and not be able to lower it.
Does not lowering it work with your design?
Yeah, it can. Yeah.
Okay.
And the critical dimension for the design is, yeah, the difference between the entry level and the parapet height. So,
Okay. All right, so Savannah or Andrew, are you willing to discuss a proposed motion?
Sure. Are we approving any setback variances as part of this, like the 0 lot line? Is that the only one? Or is
the
that
0 line in the
already?
front, I think, is the only one. The side setbacks, it's 7 from the
Yeah.
building here, so it's sufficient.
I thought there was 2, the variance in front of the house and the one at 0 lot line.
Yep. Yeah, oh, yeah, you're correct. Having the variance for it to be in the whole thing to be in the front of the house in the first place.
Yeah, and I think we have to mention both of those.
Yeah.
Do you want to make this motion, Savannah? If not,
Hey,
I
you
can
were
start.
on a roll, Andrew. I feel like you don't wanna.
Oh, fine.
I
All right.
can't. I just didn't have the agenda up, so let me
Okay.
pull it up. It sounds like we're just noting the landscape wall.
Yeah,
Is that right?
I
What's
think
item
we
4? We agree on item 4?
Um,
He said he
yeah,
could do it.
yeah, I guess maybe just state it that like the courtyard grade is to remain as is. Or yeah,
And can you clarify, Mitch, is that currently part of your proposal to lower the grade?
It's more of a if needed type of thing, but right now with the current measurements, it would be a 4-inch difference, which I think also what they were responding to in terms of like you can't lower the grade is possibilities of like a larger grade change. Because in the
Okay, I
discussion of
guess,
the comments, they were talking about lowering the floor height by a foot or more to kind of accommodate the design when they were lowering the entire parapet 3 by 3 feet. So, um,
how does the
but it's
lot?
not in your plans as now, because if we're saying, if the motion is to approve the project as proposed, I'm not sure that that comment is needed, I guess is what I'm trying to figure out.
yeah, I mean, it's just called out as the entry level at the moment.
Okay.
So
How does your lot drain at the moment? Does it drain like to the north?
it
It must, I guess, right?
basically some of it goes into the alleyway to the north. A lot of it drains to these basins, and these 2 trees take it up basically. But a lot of it ends up in this part of the lot. So
Okay. And your primary roof drainage is going south, right? And that's just an overflow on the north?
the roof slope is divided in half, so half of it will be going to the south, half of it will be going to the north.
Okay.
I could ask a question for clarification. Mitch,
Mm-hmm.
the principal structure, the grade, is that currently at 4 feet 6 inches below street level grade?
I've measured it at 4.2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. Just want to make sure I get these minutes correct. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Or two, so we would say that the entry to the ADU should also be 4.2 and not lowered to 4.6.
Yeah, I think so. Or because you probably haven't done like a survey of this, I would
Correct.
imagine. So like I think we can just say that like
The same.
the grade should be the same because we're kind of speaking in generalities here anyway.
Can I ask the rationale for that? If we're going to share with the director, I'm curious why would we be against the grade change?
Because
That's a
it
good
increases
question.
the height of the ADU, right, as perceived from the north side?
Well, this would lower it, I think. Or if you were to because we're talking about he initially proposed dropping it 4 inches, and then the advisory board is saying don't drop it. So it'll be 4 inches higher now, which I think is kind of inconsequential, but
It'll be 4 inches
yeah,
higher, but the height of the building will be perceived to be shorter, right? I thought
it
that's why they suggested it.
so if he was going to lower the courtyard, then I think the ADU would follow that, right? You wouldn't keep the parapet height at the same elevation and just lower the floor.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I
I
guess that
think
is one way of looking at it.
maybe. Yeah, I
I
don't
think that
know.
was their train of thought.
I think
That's
either way from the street, it wouldn't affect anything.
Well,
Yeah.
another way to look at it, and again, we want to make sure we get this correct. If they keep it at 4 feet 2 inches as the principal building's grade, then the top of the parapet would then be 13 feet 4 inches. Is that correct? Because it was supposed to go down 4 inches, but it remains the same. Then the top of the parapet, the height will remain the same, but the grade pushes up by 4 inches.
Well, I think the way your elevations are called out is that you're calling out the finished floor of the ADU as the reference point, and then everything is measured off of that. So if we change where that finished floor elevation is, everything else follows it, is my understanding with the way that it's drawn.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're not calling out finished floor at like 2856.3 and then the parapet at a set number. It's all just relative to that finished floor.
Yeah, it's more, yeah, it's right now it's based off the building system, which is like a 1 foot block dimension.
Okay.
All right, so if we say that the entry level can't be changed to 4.6 from 4.2, then I guess I'm just trying to figure out what to say in my motion.
I
think it's fine as proposed, right? Or
well, I think technically it's proposed as like 4.6, but just because of this section of text in here, right? So maybe just that the like existing courtyard elevation is to or shouldn't be reduced or something like that,
building elevation?
or just like the grade.
Okay, yeah, I'll say grade because elevation means two things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think we want to play a game of like, 4'3", 4'4", because we don't have a proper topographical survey anyway, so it's all kind of like loosey.
What about saying the courtyard grade is to be maintained so that the height from the street does not increase?
Yeah, or
Building height.
we could just call out the height from the street and just leave it at that too.
The building height at the street does not exceed 13 feet.
Yeah. I think that works. Because you may have to do a little bit of grading in there just to make drainage work, and I don't want to like,
yeah. Especially get positive slope away from the main structure.
For sure.
It might have to be dug down a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's fine with me. You're not going to see that side of the building.
Yeah.
All right. The final piece was the steel frame window on west elevation to be moved up by 8 inches. I don't know about that. They just wanted a higher sill, just kind of maintain a sill height from that one. Yeah.
I think it was, so right now it's basically sitting, the sill is the finished floor.
Yeah.
I think they just wanted like a wall to be all around all sides of the window, but I was a bit confused by that comment because well, I'm on the board, so I'm familiar with the previous projects that have gone through the board. And there was a previous project that had a window pretty much exactly the same as this, a little bit bigger, but sitting on the finished floor. And that project had passed unanimously without a comment to that. So
you can't see this at all.
And yeah, this is in the kind of courtyard area behind the landscape wall.
You'd have to climb that wall to even perceive that.
Yeah, I think we could just leave that out. What do you think? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I think I'm ready if you guys are. I have site landscape wall to be limited to 7 feet height. Variance for ADU in the front is acceptable. 0 setback at south lot line is acceptable. The courtyard grade is to be maintained so that the building height of the street does not exceed 13 feet. That sound about right?
Yeah, it may word it as the building height should not exceed 13 feet as measured from the street or something.
Got it.
Yeah, and the variances.
Yeah, in the code, it's measured from the front of, or from the grade at the midpoint of the front of the structure to top of structure.
Okay.
For historic.
At the center?
Yeah, the midpoint. I might have it on.
So the street
Yeah,
slopes from east to west too.
it's in this paragraph that I'm circling.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. All right, let's move on. Joel, Terry, is that okay? Do you think there's
Yeah,
anything?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All righty. On the matter of SD-052.5-00067/TC-RES-0525-023668 at 514 West 17th Street. I move to recommend approval of the project as presented with the following conditions. That the site landscape wall to be limited to 7 feet height. The variance for the ADU in the front is acceptable. The 0 setback at the south lot line is acceptable. The courtyard grade is to be maintained so that the building height does not exceed 13 feet as measured from the street at the midpoint of the structure.
Second.
Okay, I just wanted to mention that you mentioned 00067, but it's 62. Can that be a silent correction?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so Savannah moved and Joel seconded. Is there further discussion? Okay, if not, Terry votes aye. Joel,
Aye.
Savannah,
Aye.
Andrew.
Right.
Okay, it passes 4-0. And Mitch, do you need to have the next steps summarized, or are you familiar with them?
Both recommendations go to the PDSC director who makes a recommendation.
Yes.
That's about what I know.
And then there's a letter issued, right, Desiree, and then there's a waiting period if in case there's any
Right.
Correct. Appeals.
appeals.
And Mitch, I'll be in contact with you, but just asking, do you want an email summarizing these recommendations that just occurred to
That would be great. Yes.
Okay.
Please.
Well,
Do
noted.
you want to wait until you see the LAR, Jason?
I will be reviewing the recording tomorrow to make sure I get all the details correct.
Well, let's do this. Savannah will send the motion. And if you just copy Jason on that as well, because we'd rather you go by our motion. And if there's questions, because sometimes the reporting is wonky, but certainly any transcriptions could be wonky. So yeah, and Savannah and Andrew generally email their motions to Desiree and me right away. So if they copy you in, that would be helpful, right?
That would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, that's what we usually do. So, okay, well, thank you and good luck with the project.
All right. Thank you very much.
Take care.
All right.
Before
Bye.
we go on to our last case, I wanted to ask, who is Glenn's iPad? What's Glenn's full name and where is Glenn?
Yeah,
Who's
Madam
his associate?
Madam Chair, this is Rory. So we represent Glenn White and Mona Treadway, the owners of the property. So they're just joining separately from out of town, so.
Okay, could you be sure you put their full names and that they're the owners, just so that we can't just have Glenn's iPad as attending? You know what I mean?
I think he did that already in the chat, but we'll make sure.
I didn't see it, but just
I'll ask him to add that.
just
I-
double check. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
caught that. They did put their names in with the address, so we got that captured.
Okay, and then Mauro, who's Mauro?
Mauro's a commissioner.
Oh, Mauro Trejo?
Is just observing today. Yes.
Okay, so that is fine. I just thought it was Mauro, but we need to say that. Okay, very good.
I
Let's
have
go on to
15 minutes, so.
okay, let's see how far we get here. But actually we have a quorum with 3, correct? So you could leave when you have to. Okay, item 4D, SD 0925-00144/TC RES 1024-05827, 92 West Simpson Street. This is a full review in the Barrio Historico, HPZ. It's a non-contributing resource, and we'll use the rehabilitation standards. Jason, do you want to give a quick summary of this, please? And so I won't read what's going to be discussed. You go ahead and do that.
Certainly, Chair Majewski. So the scope of work has already been completed and was tagged by code enforcement for replacement of doors and windows, replacement of the driveway gate, and change of roof materials from composition shingles to stainless steel metal. At the advisory board meeting on August 11th, the advisory board recommended approval for the replacement of the doors and windows. The advisory board recommended denial for the driveway gate. The advisory board recommended continuance to the September 8th meeting for further discussion on the re-roofing. The September 8th advisory board meeting, the advisory board recommended denial on the re-roofing. This motion passed unanimously. There are no public comments. The owner, Glenn White, is here, as well as the architect's applicant, Rory Junman, is here to present on the proposed project. This concludes my staff presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, so at the first meeting, the ad board was okay with the doors, and what was the second thing, just for the record?
The approval for replacement of the doors and windows.
Was
They
okay,
recommended denial for the driveway gate.
and the roof.
The August 11th was continuance to September 8th meeting for further discussion on the roofs.
To September 8th, so we don't have their final thing, so we don't know if they denied the roof. We just know they denied the gate.
No, on September 8th meeting, the advisory board recommended denial on the roofs.
And the gate earlier, okay, got it. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, Chairman Majewski, I've got some slides. You okay if I share them?
Yes, please. I think Desiree will have to make you a co-host.
Okay. So I did want to introduce, we kind of already introduced Glenn and Mona, but I want to give them an opportunity just to do a short introduction for themselves. Is that okay?
Sure.
Hi, this is Glenn White, and I'm speaking on behalf of my wife, Mona Treadway, and I. She's here with me. And I want to start by apologizing for our ignorance around the process. It just honestly didn't occur to us that replacing the roof would require approval, and we from boards. We asked our contractor if they needed a permit for the roof. They said, no, we're just going right over the existing shingles. You don't need a permit. And the way we selected the material and the color was to stand on the roof and look around and see what was in the neighborhood and what was the longest lasting. And we landed on standing seam, and we picked a color that we felt like was close to the shingles that had been destroyed in the hailstorms, and also that it closely matched our rusted metal roof on the carport that was approved a couple of years ago. And the gate, there was a gate there when we bought the house, not on the hinges because it was damaged. So we replaced the gate using the existing opening and hinges without altering it. Again, talked to the contractor, asked if we needed a permit. He said no. And the way we selected the design was to look across the street at a gate that had been recently put up, and thought that looked appropriate for the neighborhood and mimicked that gate. And then with regards to the windows and doors, we had initially, I think that's what sparked all of this. Anyway, we made a lot of concessions with the first board around that. Instead of putting in new windows and doors that were energy efficient. We agreed to do custom wood doors that match and just reglaze the existing steel windows.
Okay, thank you for those comments.
So,
Explanation.
yeah, Chair Majewski, I'll try to be as brief as possible. We've got a presentation that kind of goes more in depth in all of this. This is the project location. It's on the northeast corner of the Barrio Historico. This is an overview of the house. House was built originally in the 1880s, added on to in the late 1800s. And the main house is what the majority of what we're requesting is focused on. There was an error, I think, in the staff report. This is a contributing property.
Right.
Neighborhood. So we're also going to focus on the gate that's right here. Glenn mentioned that they did get an approval to add this carport back in 2021, 2022. So that was what he was referencing to. That's not part of this. And then also the duplex that's on their property, that's not part of our request.
Correct.
This is development zone, just for reference. As you know, there's three requests here. I also want to correct something. The window and door replacement has not happened yet, so that's not part of the violation. The driveway gate and the roof replacement are under violation, but as they were going through this process, they needed to replace the doors and windows because of some storm damage last year in the monsoon. That we actually had a monsoon last year. That's what damaged their roof, and it also damaged the doors and windows. If you would like me to do to kind of break this up and take these in three, I'm happy to do it. Or if you'd like me just to go through the whole presentation and then you discuss each three, either way is good with me. I'll just take it.
Please go ahead with your whole presentation.
Great. So these are just some pictures of the door and window damage. The doors are old, and they were in bad shape before the storm, and it just progressively got worse. The window damage is mostly to window panes. We originally had proposed to do a new wood windows and wood doors, pellet doors, but through our first advisory committee or advisory board meeting, we landed on doing just replacement of the metal casement or replacement of the panes within the metal casement windows, just keeping the windows as is, the frames as is, and having somebody come in and rehabilitate those windows. So there's not going to be new windows, they're just rehabbing the existing windows with new paints, and then obviously with paints and cleaning those up. There are 3 doors on the property that we're looking to replace. There are 4 doors total, but this door on the left is the existing front door that they are keeping. They'll probably redo the stain, but they want to keep it natural wood. The other 3 doors are not consistent in style. They're generally consistent, and they have a window on the top and some sort of panels on the bottom, but one has 1 panel, one has 2, one has 4 or 6. So, and one has a stained glass window. So they're really a hodgepodge of these secondary doors. So what Mona and Glenn would like to do is go in and make these 3 doors that you see circled in green, make them all consistent. There'll be new doors, custom made by Butler Custom Doors. They will be 2 panels on the bottom, have glass on the top. There will be a natural finish like the front door, but what this will really do is will make all the we'll call them secondary doors consistent, the same style, very similar to the front door, which they want to keep, but the front door will be a little bit more ornate with more panels. So essentially what they're doing is taking one of those, the style of one of the existing doors, making that consistent across the other 3 doors, and then making the color and finish the same as the front door. So really kind of make the whole door situation consistent. They also, as mentioned, all of the windows at one point or another, they want to have those panes replaced and refurbished. But they are not changing them out, they'll refurbish the existing. So from a code standpoint, the UDC, the HPC design standards, this is consistent. In the code, it says that details like the windows and doors, any kind of refurbishing of those will be appropriate to the historic style of the existing structure. And since they're really just kind of replacing what's there, we meet that standard. In the Barrio Historico architectural guidelines, we also meet that standard. Oops, sorry about that. Which it says that original elements such as windows and doors, those materials should be all maintained, which they're refurbishing those, the windows, maintaining those and refurbishing them, and really kind of replacing the doors with like replicas of at least one of those doors, maintaining the size, shape, and placement of the openings. So we are conforming with those architectural guidelines as well as the code. So moving on to the gate replacement, on the right of your picture here is, around the slide, is the existing house. So in between the house and the duplex is a wall that they maintained from when they bought the property, which they bought it in 2020. They've maintained that wall, and they built a gate, or had a gate installed where that opening was. They didn't change the opening. They just included a new gate. Here's some historic photos from 2011 when the gate was up. Then the gate by 2016 had been taken down and wasn't really able to be refurbished. So what Mona and Glenn did, as he said, is they looked around the development zone. In fact, they looked right across the street. This is directly north of their house, and they saw this gate. They understood that it had been approved in 2020 through the HPC process, so it's obviously in their development zone. It's right across the street, and they use this to build this gate that's there now. Again, they didn't realize, obviously Glenn admitted they should have, they didn't realize that this needed approval. This wouldn't require, or the gate installer told them that they didn't need a permit. And so they moved forward and installed it. We have a violation on this, so we're taking this through the process. The Barrio Historical Advisory Board denied it based on two reasons. One, was very frustrating. One of the things they didn't like was the gap at the bottom. The gap at the bottom is there. You can kind of see it on the right-hand picture. The gap at the bottom is there because of the slope of the lot. The lot slopes up from the street. Can't have a gate open up into the right-of-way, into the sidewalk area. So the only option they had was to open it into the property. And there's a natural slope there. They didn't change that slope when they redid their carport. They did add some brick pavers at that time, so it's likely that grade shifted a little bit, a few inches, but they didn't do any major changes to that grade. So they had to have the gate. They didn't have any option. If they have a gate that opens inward, it's got to be a little bit higher than grade to allow for the opening to occur. The other thing that the Barrio Historico, the feedback that we got from them is they didn't, even though there's a very similar gate right across the street, they wanted there to be more verticality on this gate. One of them gave us the idea to include some additional kind of detail on the gate to add that, but this, when we went back the second time, this wasn't agreeable to them. So what we would be asking for is either to approve this, or I think what our preference would be, what Glenn and Mona's preference would be to approve the gate as is. I think either way, we think that this meets the standards. There's not a lot of guidance in the Barre Historic Architecture Guidelines on gates. And there really isn't anything specific in the code. It does say generally any kind of alterations should generally conform to the design standards of the contributing properties within the development zone. And Glenn and Mona looked directly across the street at a similar gate to use it as really their the guidance and to use it as a design that they use for their gate. So we also did some looking at the Department of Interior standards. One thing I want to point out there is for new additions, the Department of Interior standards say that if you do any kind of addition and it's removed in the future, which a gate really isn't permanent on the structure, it's very conceivable that the gate could be replaced very easily in the future. That it's that feature that you're adding, if removed, it doesn't impact the essential form and integrity of the property itself. And so we think that that's another reason why this gate is appropriate and should be approved. So
Rory, could you show the gate across the street again, please?
Sure. That's it.
What's the size of that opening? It's different. Or is it the same, but it's just not as high?
The size of that open, I don't know the exact dimensions. I think this is a narrower opening than their opening. But it's also in between two homes where you have higher side, the walls.
Right. Okay, you can go back to where you were.
They were constrained by the existing walls over there, which as I mentioned, they didn't change those. They didn't change the width of the opening, or they didn't change the height of the wall at the at the driveway or at the driveway entrance.
Okay.
And then I'll go ahead and move on to the roof replacement. So they bought the property in 2020, and then in 2024 they had the roof damage. So on the prior to the replacement, it was a asphalt shingle roof. It was kind of a rust color material, but they were asphalt shingles. As Glenn mentioned, they went with a metal roof because one, of the durability, but two, they looked around in their development zone, or I don't know if they knew that was a development zone, but they looked around their house at the houses that were around them, and they saw multiple metal roofs, and they chose the color really based on the fact that they had the gate that was rusted. They noticed other lots of references to metal, rusted metal in the area. So this is just a close-up, a little bit closer up picture of the roof. It's important to note that they didn't change anything on the roof. They didn't change. They essentially just laid the metal roof over the existing shingle, so there were no changes to the roof line or anything. So within the development zone, there are 8 other metal roofs. 5 of those are standing seam, and there are a variety of colors. There's multiple that are a silver color, but there's a couple right across or right down the street to their east that are, one's a royal blue, one's a green. So there's this variety of colors within their development zone of these metal roofs. But metal roofs are definitely prominent, and I think we counted, they made up about 50% of the roofs in their development.
Yeah, I have a question for Desiree or Jason. The roofs that he's showing in the development zone, are those permitted roofs?
I'm sorry, your question was, are they permanent?
Were they permitted? So were they put up without a permit as well, or were they permitted?
I do not have information to answer that question. We didn't check into that.
I don't know
Okay.
that answer, but these types of roofs are very common in the neighborhood and multiple other
Yeah.
historic zones as well.
That's what I thought, but I just was curious about that. Okay.
And, we didn't go check that because of the number in that development. I mean, it was 50% and there's a significant amount of standing seam. We figured that maybe not all of them are permitted, but I think the chances are that a lot of them are, so.
Yeah, but I thought you said that you didn't know that you had to check them before you did it.
No, I'm saying in preparing for this case,
Oh,
like.
I see. Okay. No,
Yeah,
that
no,
was just, I didn't, yeah, I didn't ask you. That's why I asked staff if they knew. So it's fine. Go ahead.
So, this is just the spec for the material that they use and what they chose. The issue really for the roof came down to, the, not even the color, but just the pattern on this roof, material that they used. We didn't hear any problems with the metal roof itself, but the rust pattern that's on this material is what the board was concerned about. They asked us to go see if we could paint over it, if there was some sort of a treatment we could put on. Essentially, the multiple installers and the manufacturer all recommended against it. And the manufacturer basically said, if you paint it, the warranty is void. So now we believe in the manufacturer essentially said, and some of the installers basically said, these roofs will fade and that pattern will sort of fade out over time or become less prominent. It's really something, I think if you're not paying attention to, it's up out of your sight line. It's something that isn't really that noticeable, but there is a pattern on this roof, and that was the thing that was most concerning. So,
okay, well, thanks for mentioning their concern. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So the again, how we meet these standards for in the code, in the UDC, the roof types, any alterations that regarding roofs should have a roof that's compatible in configuration, mass, and materials to the style of the existing structure. We meet all of these. Didn't change anything with the configuration and the form on the roof, and the metal material is prevalent in the development zone. They have some additional standards on color that do apply to roofs, and you know, that this should be appropriate to the style and subjects of the structure and its historic period. So that I think the rust color meets that standard. And then the Barrio historical guidelines were a little less precise, or basically those standards were really focused on the form and the details of the roof and trying to maintain those as much as possible and not changing the roof line, which obviously that didn't happen. So we feel that we did meet those standards as expressed in the code. So with that, happy to answer any questions. We just would respectfully request recommend approval, but we're happy to answer any questions you got.
Okay, we will discuss. Okay, let's start with Savannah. Are you still here, or did you leave?
I'm still here. Yeah, I hung on for a few extra minutes.
Okay, do you have any comments?
No, I mean, window glass replacement seems fine to me. The proposed replaced wood doors also seem fine to me. I would recommend they be painted. I think just to match existing, especially in that western elevation, kind of a longevity concern with exposed wood. But I appreciate that the original front one was maintained. I take no exception to the gate that's already as is, or the replaced roof as is. Also tend to agree that the fake patina of the rust isn't necessarily preferred, but I think that they met the requirement or the standard that they're beholden to. So that is my 2 cents. No questions, really. I'll let you guys take it from here. I have to run. I apologize.
Okay, so we have you leaving at 3:22.
Yep.
See you
Sound
later.
great? Thank you.
Thank you. Sam.
Joel, do you want to go next?
Yeah, yeah, sure. The roof, I'm okay with leaving the current roof on. Yeah, it's a funky color. I mean, I don't like it when they try to phony up I don't think it's consistent with the standards when they phony up the finish or rust finish. Either it's rust finish or no, but it's there and it's the same color. The roof's not been reconfigured roof line, so. And the suggestions for the doors and windows seem consistent with the the standards. So yeah, fine.
So you're okay with Savannah's suggestion to go ahead and paint those doors so that they preserve better?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Andrew.
Yeah. I think this all generally looks fine to me. There's probably some frustration in that, they only got to review it after the fact. And I think the other part of maybe the frustration here is that the Barrio Historico design guidelines are really wimpy. That doesn't speak to a lot of these. And they just come down to a matter of taste. So, I mean, from where I can see it, the roof material is in compliance with the requirements. The color is pretty similar to what was there. It probably I looked at the inventory form. It was a flat roof, adobe roof building at one point. Hip roof was added, like a lot of other stuff in this era. Probably had like wood shakes on it, which were replaced with asphalt shingles and now metal roof. And that's a really common like evolution for buildings of this era, and we approve that all the time. And if the design guidelines don't speak to color, then it's a matter of taste, in my opinion. On the driveway gate, that also looks okay to me. Like looking at some of the design guidelines don't really talk about that. But I would refer to like the section on doors and windows, and I've looked around. Some of the doors you have a really similar configuration. It's like 2 or 3 horizontal panels with like a window above. And I think if you look at the driveway gate, that's generally in alignment with that pattern and those proportions. So I think it's fine. The gap on the bottom, there's nothing else you can do there because of the grade. On the doors, if you can go to the proposed replacement doors, I just want to go through them real quick. So this door is staying, which is great. And then the other 3 are getting replaced with this 2-panel. Is one of these 3 that's being replaced, does it have this configuration kind of already?
Yeah, so they took one and they're just gonna apply it to the other 2 to make them all consistent.
Okay, and if you go back, does it have the transom window above it still, or it's just a full door?
I think the transom is above they're not going, I should have mentioned this, they're not going to change any of the transoms, any of the side.
Okay.
Where they're at. They're just taking the door and replacing it.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, you're using a precedent of one of the doors that's there. It's with a lot of these row homes, it's really common that like every single door is different, and I think it's part of the character. People replace them over time, and whatever the case is. So matching them all isn't a priority for me, but if they've reached the end of their service life, I think this is a good replacement. So I mean,
And do you recommend painting them as Savannah did?
painting the
And not have
sorry.
exposed wood to paint the,
Oh,
the doors?
I think they could go with either because the building has both right now. So as long as we're taking precedent from something that's there, I think it's fine. Painted is definitely way more common in the
And
development zone.
it also protects the wood on the door a little bit better, yes?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think
We could just say that we recommend that, you know, I mean, I think it's a good option.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think either way is good with me. If you're gonna pay the money for the custom doors, I understand wanting to do the natural wood for sure. You could always paint it later.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
So
all
yeah, I
right,
mean, in short, I really have no issue with what's been presented. So unless you
okay.
want to
Then why
add
don't
anything.
you go ahead and make a motion? Did you have something else,
Terry,
Joel?
Terry, can I just make one more comment?
Please do.
Maybe it's more important on down the agenda somewhere, but this is a common thing we run into in all of the historic districts. It happens here in West University, where people buy a house, they're not aware of the historical review process for projects like this. And I'm wondering if we couldn't, it's almost below standard of care if they bought it from a real estate agent, not to warn people that they've got to do this kind of review on any changes. And I wonder if the city could, or we could, or something, educate folks about that. So that's just my comment. Probably not even, it's not to this situation exactly, but
But
there
we
you
can talk about that because there have been
Yeah.
efforts to do that,
go. Okay, good, excellent.
but not every realtor does it, so.
I know,
Yeah.
I think it's below the standard of care for a realtor, not to do
Yeah.
it.
This block of Barrio Historico is hot for code violations, but
Yeah.
for some reason. So anyway, all right. If we're so, do we want to
We're
add
ready.
any conditions to this, Terry, or we're good?
No, if you feel that, you know, you might just mention painting would
Like,
help preserve the wood, but it's not you know, we're not recommending it as mandatory or something.
okay, all right.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All right. On the matter of SD 0925000144/TCRES 10240587 at 92 West Simpson Street, I recommend approval of the project as presented with the recommendation that exterior doors be painted to better preserve them in the future.
Great. Is Joel, you second?
Oh, yes, of course, yes, second.
Okay, is there discussion of the motion? If not,
I'll amend it to say new doors.
okay,
'Cause
and you
we're
will
gonna leave
send
that.
us,
Yeah.
and you're okay with that, Joel?
Yes,
Okay, and then if you just send us that, your modified motion, along with
Yep.
your other many motions. Okay,
Yes.
so I'll go ahead and call roll then. Andrew,
Aye.
Joel,
yes,
and Terry votes aye. So it's 3-0 with Savannah not there. Not here. Okay. Great. So it passes 3-0. And are you familiar with the next steps of the process?
Yes, ma'am. I'll just work with Desiree and Jason, and we sure appreciate your consideration of this.
Well, perfect. And good luck with the project. And thank you very much.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks.
Okay, item 5 is current issues for information discussion. 5A, do we have an update on minor reviews?
No specific updates. There was some minor reviews I may have mentioned in Fort Lowell that took place in July, and they're some work being done at the commissary building and the Donaldson House. So that's a Parks and Recs project. Also, the county is also involved with that one. So decision letters were posted. So those are on Pro. They will be coming back for a follow-up minor review for the site walls. So there were some site walls at the commissary building and at the Donaldson House, some Adobe kind of original low Adobe site walls that are failing. And so the proposal is to reconstruct them. So those will be coming back as a follow-up to that minor review. But other than that, nothing really else to report. We're just plugging along. I am happy to report we have finally caught up after a challenging, I don't know, 6 months to a year of a backlog. We no longer have any overdue cases. So I'm very excited about that. We still have some kind of residual, we're still finishing up like decision letters and things like that. But in terms of like on NRGov or TDC Online, we don't have any overdue cases. So we haven't had that in a while. So yes,
Well
that's
done.
a big accomplishment. So yeah, as we move forward, and I'm probably skipping ahead to our review process, but really we've been trying to just play catch up. And so moving forward, really looking at ways I think to improve the process and make things more organized and more streamlined certainly is kind of the next phase, I think, of what we're going to be focusing on.
Okay, and you'll keep us posted on all that because some of that will be discussed on the newly renamed Policies and Procedures Working Group, which is the Historic Preservation Advisory Group or something. I'll get this right eventually.
Right.
But anyway, so great. Item 5B is appeals. Are there any?
No appeals.
Thank you. 5C is zoning violations. Is that the usual?
It's the usual. We heard one today. And yeah, nothing else to report there.
Okay. Item 5D is review process issues. I did want to just say a couple things and then we'll turn it over to everyone else. I think the Joel's suggestion is a very good one. We've discussed this over the years and I probably never mentioned that to you, Desiree, but sometime I think we should discuss that as something that the commission could help with, your office could help with, educate people on this. It's very unfortunate that this often happens, and I believe them that their realtors never told them. I mean, they're realtors that specialize in historic, and they clearly tell the person or the potential buyers, but it's very unfortunate. And my other two questions were, I believe you either sent us your proposed checklist or you were going to. I would like to have that on an upcoming plans review for us to look at with you and explain it to us because that's been a long time complaint that there isn't. Now that you have more staff, I think people will expect, at least at some scale of projects, to have initial staff review and checklists and things like that. I would like to see a checklist because I think I'm seeing recently differences in what the advisory boards see and what we see. And that's not appropriate. We just have to figure out, and there's a lot of moving parts. And so I'm not saying you left them out on purpose, right? But I think it would be, and we tend to ask maybe more incisive questions on specific details, and not that the reviews that the advisory boards do aren't great as well. But what I'm saying, I think we need to, if we're truly going to review the same plans, then we have to have, the full plans. My other thing is, what's your intention with the revised guidelines? I mean, it took me a long time to look at, do some editing on Fort Lowell, and I finally sent that in. And part of the problem was you can't review the whole thing, the 22 pages in one sitting, because it hurts your head. I mean, there's a lot of detail there. And so I got hung up at the end, and I just had to stay up and do it and not fall asleep on the couch.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's just, and so anyway, you don't need to give us an answer now, but I know that Fort Lowell will be meeting with you. And one of the concerns I have about the guidelines is that, and it's something Andrew brought up, that we have to be careful that personal preference doesn't get in, and that they understand what guidelines are, and that the guidelines have to be situated with the secretary standards and what that means. And, I do think that Fort Lowell is a very difficult area because it's not traditional, it's just organized differently. It's, and they even have different standards for review of, I can't follow it, historic contributing, non-historic contributing, whatever, right? And all that. And so I think that, I'd be interested in knowing how your meeting goes with Fort Lowell. We don't want people to because there are a lot of groups that are wanting to do those. So is still your intent to continue to agendize those for us?
Yes, so the design guidelines, we have Fort Lowell, West University, and Barrio all have draft design guidelines. And as I mentioned earlier, I've been here 6 months. It's really been a focus of doing our basic, like, what are we required to do? We have all these reviews, right? Like, there's just been a backlog. And so I have not been able to really focus on that. And that those are big projects. And I understand there is frustration on behalf of the boards because they've been working on them for a long time. They want them to move forward. At the same time, I also share some of your concerns, Terry, and I want to ensure that the design guidelines are, the best that they can be and that they're helpful. And so that's not to say, that they are, there has been a lot of work put into them, and there's a lot of great stuff in there. At the same time, I don't want to just kind of rush because people,
I
just
agree
because of
totally.
it, right? So, yeah, but I'm sensitive to that. People they really want them, and they, I think feel that they need them. So, and now that we have, we're catching up a little bit. We have some new staff, but still, we're all very new, and we're still trying to get in a good flow and organized, and just do everything we need to accomplish, right?
No, and
Yeah.
I'm not pressing you. I'm just saying that and I tried to explain when I talked to Elaine Hill that, she's worried about people in the neighborhood coming back for reviews and slipping through because the guidelines don't specifically say something. Well, they're guidelines. And I said you could do the same thing by applying the secretary standards.
Yeah. Exactly. We have the Secretary of Interior standards. Guidelines are helpful, but they are not necessarily going to change how reviews are being done. And so, maybe we can relieve some
Yeah, and we can
fears of
talk about
that.
it offline, but I think that there's been really a lot of work and improvement in the advisory boards over the years, just as there has been in plans review. We all learn, and we want people to have the best, most appropriate projects possible. So if there's any way for training, let's just talk about that. So anyone else want to add anything, staff or Joel or Andrew? Sorry to blab on, but I had to mention those things because they were concerning.
Yeah, no, I'll just add to that. I mean, I think the advisory boards are feeling the pressure of a lot of the, zoning changes and things that are coming down the pike. And, I think cases like the code violation cases that we review kind of lay bare some of the inadequacies of the design guidelines, and that the design guidelines were maybe written with a more naive assumption that like everything is going to come through, it'll be reviewed, you'll get to talk about it, and people get really upset when they don't get a chance to discuss it because it's done without a permit, and then all they have to fall back on is like a 2-page design guideline that doesn't say anything about anything, and it looks like the Declaration of Independence or something. It's from 1974. So, but I think it's a broader thing that we're just seeing across the board is that a lot of these guidelines and, administrative directives and all of that are just really due for a refresh to reflect kind of where we are, currently.
Mhm.
So,
And preservation wise, yeah. And West University, I've been through 2 of their revisions over the years, and they actually had incorporated some really good things, and they seem, maybe theirs will be less intensive because they have revised it recently, and they incorporated some new alternative materials. They even brought them in for our review so we could see, there was big concern about the profile of windows, right?
yeah.
It was really, I thought, pretty good. So, but anyway,
Yeah.
thank you, Andrew.
Terry, I just want to add one comment to the comment I made before. And there might be other places we could look to intercept the problem of people getting notice about the historic review requirements. And that is, maybe with the planning department, when they're handing out permits, they see they're working in the historical zone. That might be a point where they could be made aware of the requirements, or so that's another place, but and off the top of my head, that's the only one I can think of right now. But there might be other places we can intercept and make people aware of, to not go ahead and put a roof on before it's reviewed,
Right, but isn't it's preceded by an H, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the point, but nobody knows what it means.
Yeah, and maybe that's something that Desiree, you and your staff could just bounce around ideas, not this minute, but how you can improve that better. If there's a logical place of insertion. Because that's happened to me a lot, like, oh, this is a risk. Don't, by the way, there is like a huge problem with termites in this accessory building that on this house you're buying. Oh, did they tell me that? No.
Mhm.
And so that was really interesting. And they didn't even say you should do a survey of your property line. And they thought, why are you doing this? Do you not trust us? I'm like, where I come from, this is what we do. That was like
Yeah.
years ago, like 1990, so anyway, anything else? Desiree, Jason?
No.
Nothing report.
Sorry, this is so awfully long, but anyway, okay. Item 6 is future agenda items. What do you have for us? Or what are you hoping for October 9th?
So yes, we have several items. So for October 9th, there's a couple in West University. Actually, we have 3 in West University. An ADU, or a conversion of an existing detached garage to an ADU. Actually, there's 2 of those. And then the remodel of the ADA ramp and alterations to that one that you saw, that was continued at 724 North 2nd Avenue. I think that one should be ready. I've been working with the applicant. So I'm waiting for one more elevation, but I think it should be ready by then. And then we also have Christina Swallow, Assistant City Manager, coming to talk about the administrative directive for the protection of archaeological and cultural resources. So it'll be another
Okay, so,
it will be another
can
full
we
meeting.
keep it to 3 cases then, plus Christina?
Yes. That's what we have, just the 3 cases plus her presentation.
Yeah, and I love particularly Jason's optimism. Oh, this case will take 25 minutes. I'm like, Jason, maybe
I
we
think
could
that's
frame.
me, my optimism, but yeah.
No, but some of these are really, they're pretty intensive, and so, but anyway, I'm only teasing in good faith. I'm not criticizing.
Yeah.
So all right. So is everybody on the call so far planning to be there on the 9th? Joel, Andrew?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
I'll
And we
be
can,
in California, but I'll be on. I just may not be on video.
okay. Yes, we'll attend. And so I'm sure Savannah will too. And don't forget to send us your lovely motions. And I'm sure Savannah usually remembers by the evening when she gets home. You know, so everyone,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Sorry about this, but it seemed long.
No worries.
Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone.
All right,
Have a
thank you
good
for your work, Carrie.
evening.
Thank you. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
3:46.
Thank you.